welcome to another 7 minutes or less. Now, a little while ago I got 2 games from the Nintendo eShop because they sounded good, had decent reviews and were on offer, so I got them for a bargain price. The first one was Master Reboot, which I've already reviewed, but the other one was Child of Light. Child of Light was published by Ubisoft in April 2014 and released on numerous platforms, but we're going to be having a look at the WiiU version. All I really got from the trailer was that it was a 2D side-scrolling adventure game with turn-based combat and RPG elements with the usual plot of Forces of Light versus Forces of Darkness, but it turned out that was only the tip of the iceberg. Keeping with the usual formula, let's start off looking at the plot. In Austria, 1895, a duke raises his daughter Aurora alone after his wife dies, but eventually he remarries. One night, Aurora goes to bed but becomes ill.
At dawn they found her, vacant, Aurora's light gone out. Her father wept and pleaded, but there could be no doubt. For all intents and purposes, Aurora was dead.
She wakes up in the land of Lemuria, a forgotten realm once ruled over by a Queen of Light, until she disappeared and Umbra, a dark usurper, took control. She sent her daughters to capture the sun, moon and stars to remove the light, although everywhere looks pretty light to me, and allowing her dark creatures to conquer Lemuria. It's up to Aurora to battle her way through the hordes of creatures to find the sun, moon and stars to bring the light back and defeat Umbra. Of course, things aren't always what they seem, so there are some nice twists and some rather sad moments which I won't spoil, but the ending was actually really surprising. While it's mainly a 2D side-scrolling game, you get the ability to fly quite early on, so there's a lot to explore. Lemuria is quite a large place, so the map comes in handy, especially as you can use it to quick travel to certain places you've already visited. Each area has a lot of items to find, and it tells you how much you've found in each area, so it makes getting everything, completing a quest, or just doing a bit of level grinding that much simpler. The main person, though I use that term loosely, helping you is a firefly called Igniculus who you control independently of Aurora. The rest of the characters you meet along the way are pretty decent too. The ones that join your team have problems and ask you for help, so in turn help you. They all have individual personalities which can occasionally be the cause of their problems, but it never felt like you could get rid of one and not notice, though some are more useful in battle than others, but we'll get onto that later. There are a few puzzles to solve throughout the game, but none of them are especially difficult, and a lot of them have the same basis. Sometimes it can be a case of finding a crate to hold down a button, or using Igniculus to shine light in certain places, which was an interesting puzzle concept the first time round, but seeing as the game had you do it a number of times, the novelty wears off, though it can sometimes be difficult to work out where you need to shine the light. The puzzles are probably the weakest aspect of the game, but it still had a few tricks up its sleeve, like using Igniculus' light to find your way through dark passages, or affecting the scenery to make progress a bit simpler. He can also come in handy during combat, so let's delve into that. Enemies appear on the screen, and going into them causes a turn-based fight with real-time elements to take place. At the bottom of the screen there's a bar which your team and enemies slide across. When you get to the casting section you can pick what you want that character to do, with the action being performed when they get to the end of the bar. After the move is performed they go back to the beginning of the bar and start again. If you win the battle you get experience and level up, giving the character a stat boost as well as a point to spend on the skill trees. Each character has 3 trees, and each one has the usual benefits of increased health, attack power, defense and all that malarkey, but each tree also has unique abilities. As an example, Finn is the magic user and he can have 3 main magic attacks, 1 fire, 1 water and 1 electric, with each one being improved on a different tree, so you have to decide whether you improve them all equally or focus on one and hope that the enemies you fight against are vulnerable to that type. Igniculus comes in handy as he can heal your team members and blind your enemies, which causes them to progress up the action bar slower. He doesn't have an infinite amount of energy and can only affect one person at a time, so it can be a tough choice deciding which one to do. As you travel around you find ocular stones which can be equipped to boost various attributes, or you can combine them together to make more powerful versions and different types of stones. There are loads of oculi to make, and which one you equip could be the difference between success or failure. The only things about combat that annoyed me was that you could only have 2 characters battling at any one time. Each character has different spells or abilities and you can switch between them as part of the move selection process, which is great for formulating battle plans, but seeing as there are so many characters with each one having different skills, it becomes a pain in the arse, especially during bosses. Then there's being interrupted. Oh dear god, that gets annoying. Once you've chosen what you want a character to do, if that character gets attacked before they carry it out, they get interrupted and go back down the action bar, essentially losing the turn. It can happen over and over again and gets really annoying. Some battles go on for a while as it is due to the bucking fasted enemies, and when those bucking fasted enemies keep knocking you down the bucking fasted action bar, it makes the bucking fasted fight more annoying than bucking fasted Mario Kart, which could all have been made less bucking fasted annoying by letting us have just one extra bucking fasted teammate during the bucking fasted battle. Sorry about that, though yes, the combat does have a few annoying aspects, but for the most part it's actually pretty good, and building up the skill trees is one of the things I love doing in games. The only other thing about the combat that left something to be desired was that the spells weren't exactly awe-inspiring. Granted, I didn't have them maxed out, but I would have thought some of the stronger offensive spells would have looked a bit more impressive than they do. That's really the only negative about the visuals I can think of, as the rest of the game is gorgeous, and some of the places you travel through look amazing. As for the audio, the game doesn't seem to have a huge variety of tracks, but oh my god, the ones it has are amazing. It's quite piano heavy, but it works with the style of the game and gives some amazing tunes. Some of the tracks are so deep and mournful you can almost imagine the tears streaming down the composer's face. Finally, the game starts with two difficulties, normal and hard, but once you beat the game, you get New Game Plus, which allows you to replay an even harder version of the game, but carrying over all your stats and items from the completed game. I haven't tried this yet, but the possibility of completing everyone's skill trees makes it very tempting. Child of Light is an amazing RPG. It's got a few annoying aspects, but nothing game-ruining, especially considering how much great stuff there is to make up for it. The New Game Plus is a nice addition, but even without it, I still want to play the game again, so having the option there is all the more reason for battling the forces of darkness one more time. I got the game for less than £4, but will pay much more for a game this enjoyable, and as it's released on most platforms, I'd highly recommend giving it a go. See you next time.